I begin today by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, traditional custodians of the land on which this podcast is recorded today. Also pay respects to the elders past and present, and extend that respect to any other Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people who may be listening today. This is Melanated in Melbourne, a podcast designed to give an insightful look into the Australian lifestyle from the lens of two Black American besties.
Welcome back to Melanated in Melbourne. I'm Nicole.
I'm Richard.
And today we are actually joined by two of our very, very, very good friends. I'm so excited. Are you excited, Richard?
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yes. So we have our friends Rock and Drew here. Make some noise. Oh.
I don't think that works.
Oh. Not the... Oh, she gone. There we go. Yes. There we go. We got the applause.
I'll just take an ear off.
We got the applause.
We got the applause, but did we want to redo that? Or are you happy to just...
You know what? I think it's fine because I think imperfections are just going to be a part of this. No, that's totally fine. We keeping it real.
Keeping it real. Well, yes, thank you, Rock and Drew, for coming through. Did you want to introduce yourselves? Like, how did you want to come into this whole scenario? And Drew, you're going to be forced to go first. I don't know if you know.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Let's start with long-time listener, first-time caller. Thanks for having me on. So the first time I came to Australia, I was on a working holiday visa. Cool. Quick 7 months. Ended up having to go home for a couple of months. But during that working holiday, made the connections and the friends, and that's cool. The second time I came back, the start of 2019, I did a Master's of International Relations and a Master's of Management.
Oh, shit.
Hey.
Yeah. And been here ever since.
We love that. And so were you in Melbourne that whole time?
No. So I was originally in Sydney, moved to Melbourne like a year and a half ago. Originally why I came to Australia on the working holiday was because a friend of mine over Christmas break told me that there's an opportunity for Americans to do the working holiday visa. And I honestly was in this period of my life, I was just about to turn 30 and I'm like, this is something I have to do. I was living in New York and just over it, just burnt out,
feeling it,
just gotta go somewhere. So I picked a date, packed up my apartment, got my blessing from my mom, and decided to travel the world. And I did a thing, and I tried to become a travel blogger. Didn't necessarily work, but...
Oh my God, it's like looking in a mirror. It's like looking in a mirror.
I didn't even think about it. Like, I was so just like, that seems like a lot of effort for me. I'm like, I can't write it. I can't.
No,
blogging is a lot.
It is, but you get to learn about yourself, and it's still one of my passions today. Shameless self-plug, theunplannedexcursion.com.
Ooh.
Know that.
What is it about? Tell me more.
It is really just about my travel adventures and the things that I've experienced and the way that I see the world and my version of art. It's my photography. It's my little eye.
Oh, I love that. That's cute. That's a little elevator speech. I love that one. So you've been in Melbourne for a year and a half. And how did you end up wrangled in with us? Like, what was it, roped in? I kept saying
wrangled in?
Roped into Melanated in Melbourne.
All right, so actually, no. Was this planned to have?
No, it was a full accident. It was actually.
Okay. Because ironically, how I ended up here with you guys is because of Rock.
Hey.
Yeah.
No, that was because I was talking to Nicole yesterday, and I was like, actually, oh.
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute. Put two and two together.
Yeah. We were passing through the airport to one another, and we just saw a fellow Black person in the airport, and we just like, what's up? I see you. It's like,
The nod happened internationally, overlapped, and we loved it.
And it was just like, hey, I'm with this group of friends. I'm like, great. I'm like kind of half in Melbourne, half in Sydney because I was dating someone at the time. And just like, okay, here's a group. And here we are. Literally a year in. So I guess I met you then two years ago. 2.5 years?
Yeah, that would have been near the end of lockdown and COVID and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my
The time is just absolutely snapping by. But I think that's an incredible segue to get Rock's introduction.
Yay, Rock!
Hello. Thanks for having me, guys. I do very much so appreciate it. In terms of how I came to Australia, so mine's kind of long story. I initially came here for med school back in 2013, and I was here for 2 years and had an amazing time. I was on a student visa, so that was the easy part. And I was like, this is dope. I really like this place. I think I want to stay here. So after I graduated in 2017, I came back and started working here. And I was on a skilled worker visa that I think they don't have anymore.
Oh, come on, exclusive.
Mic drop. I finished it.
Yeah, I'm saying. They figured that they couldn't get anybody better.
So I did that, and it lasted for 4 years. So I had a bunch of time to work and figure out when I wanted to apply for PR. And then I ended up doing that. Then not too long after that, applied for citizenship. So, yeah.
I love that. You've been here ever since. Do either of you plan to go back to America anytime soon? I just in case, because one of my friends is going to be moving back there soon. So, I mean, it's still a valid question. I wouldn't personally, but you can't see their faces, but
Richard is all for ballinizing, not colonizing, but ballinizing Australia. He don't want to go back.
Nobody going back. If I can pick everybody up and just drop them here, I will.
Oh, for real.
Yeah, outside of a quick visit that I have to do next week, I'm not trying to go back there to live. Currently, the way that the world is going, and it's just a no for me. I can't even. There are no other words. Still, it's an emotion.
No, yeah, I was gonna say, listeners at home, his face is scrunched up. He's trying to be very diplomatic right now about saying he don't want to go back, but he's a very Drew is very much professional. He's our friend he's a business. Yes, he gets it together, and we appreciate the diplomacy, but I get it. Yeah. What about you, Rock?
Yeah, no, I think I have a similar mindset as it sounds like everybody else here. So, I mean, obviously I have all my family there. I would go back to visit, but to live there is a whole different story, and I don't really see myself going back there to stay, no.
And that's fair. I mean, again, what we have been saying a bunch of times on the episodes, we will give criticisms, highs and lows, but overall, it's much better here. It's not a competition. So we can talk all the shit we want to, but that's just because that's what we do as a people. We talk shit. Yeah. But overall, very happy here. So glad to hear that both of you feel the same with that one. Before we get the show started, we actually been doing a bit of a culture shock per thing. One of the things that I was thinking about culture shock-wise is pronunciations. When the show first premiered, a few of my friends who had never been to Australia, they're like, why are you saying Melbourne like that? Or are you saying Melbourne like that?
Melbourne.
Yeah, and it was like, well, that's I guess, what do you say so you can blend in, they can stop asking as many questions? So Melbourne, Brisbane, Cairns. If you say like them, they can understand you better. I've personally found that my accent is fairly easy to understand, but they don't know how to say my name. They don't know how to understand any things I'm saying to them unless I talk like them. So that is the way they shorten everything has been my culture shock. Does anyone is there any word or thing that kind of threw you off that you have heard or that you're like, oh, I wish they didn't do that here?
Well, for me, I'm always gonna throw verbal hands over aluminum because I think that's just how she should be said. I think that's what her mama named her, aluminum. I'm gonna call her aluminum. So when they keep trying to sneak in the aluminium, I'm like, dude, what's she mini for? When she get mini? She ain't never been mini, but they say aluminium.
But also, you're picking a battle with the UK because they started that.
Yeah.
Run up, ho. I got your tea. I got your crumpets. If you wanna.
I got your folding chair.
We will Alabama brawl, Alabama riverboat brawl if we need to. If we need to. But no, it's always that one. I don't know. What are some other ones? Like, well, they don't say schedule here. It's not like that. It's not that kind of party.
Actually.
It's
not schedule. They'll go, can you put something in my diary?
Diary! They do love a diary. And I'm like,
your diary. I'm seeing this bitch.
Yeah, right? That's how I think of the diary. But they were like, if you want to put something on the books.
Yeah.
You want to put something.
Absolutely. I don't know that I would have any other words. Oh, actually, Rock, did you have anything that just jumped out to you?
I had a couple. I'm really sorry, Nicole.
Okay, no, you know what? Let me. I'm putting on my. I'm listening.
I'm gonna have to say, actually, aluminium is like one of the only things that Australians say that I was like, okay, I can vibe with this. Actually.
God,
Conflict.
stand up. Put him up a fight.
Well, damn.
But they say so like your skeletal system.
Yeah.
They say skeletal.
Oh, they
and
do
I was
say
like, no, this is
skeletal.
problematic. I'm sorry, but no.
Oh, skeet. Never mind. Oh, skeletal. It is.
I've never heard that before, and I can never unhear it. And
Yeah.
I know I see the word skeleton all the time. Like, I mean, Halloween is coming up, so.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, the skeleton. Honey, put out the skeleton. What? It's like, who even says that? It don't make no type of sense. But okay, if y'all like it. But I don't know. Does anybody else have any other? I have a culture shock that I'm ready to
Oh, yeah?
get off my chest. Possums are just hard to deal with. Do you guys see possums? Because you guys are more in the city.
I was chased by possums in Pittsburgh Gardens my first year, and it was not cute. No, I'm not laughing.
Trigger.
I hope they're all broken. I hope all the buttons are broken.
Wait, you got chased by a possum? Oh no! That's wrong.
Anyway, I had an attack on my life in Fitzroy Gardens by the possums. Oh my God, they're so cute. I'm like, no, they're not. They say that they're squirrel-esque, and they're absolutely not. So,
They're not. They are rats
Yes.
the size of cats that could climb trees. And they big as hell. And it's just like, what is your big ass doing up on the power line? You need to be burrowed somewhere. And they're just up in the tree, like dropping. Like they do. They need to be underneath the ground with the mole people or the moles. They need to not be up and hanging. I don't know. I saw a possum fall out of a tree once. And it hit the ground and it bounced. It was like, doof. And it was a baby possum. And it looked up and was like, did anybody see me? And I was looking at her like, girl, it's the daytime. Are you drunk? Like, what are you doing?
I'm going to tell you that you're leaning into your mic so much. Nicole, you're so excited.
I'm a bit passionate about the possums
You were so
because I just don't understand why they're so big. I don't understand why their eyes go like that. They look like detached. They move independently of each other. It makes me nervous.
I don't know. I've never seen a possum do that.
I had
was
to
actually
see one, and I was just like, this, like, why? What was the purpose? Most of the time, animals have, like, some sort of purpose. But I couldn't understand. They have a lot of, like, gardens here. Gardens. Parks. Mm-hmm. We would call them parks, but they're called gardens here.
They're all gardens.
And when they have the plastic around the base of the tree, first of all, I thought those were neck braces for the trees. I thought it was because the trees were growing crooked and they had like some sort of scoliosis going on.
So just at the base.
I just thought, just at the
So it was a
base.
cock ring for a
I thought
tree,
the
and you
trees
thought it was
had.
holding up its entire back.
I thought the trees needed chiropractors, but it turns out that it's to prevent the possums from running up the trees. Because their big asses shouldn't be up there. Because if they fell on you, it'd be like a cannonball hitting you on the head.
Natural selection, I say.
Damn!
For the possum, for whoever's sitting under those trees.
Don't.
If you know how to move, you can't dodge a possum, you can't dodge a ball.
If you can dodge a ball, you can dodge a possum. If I get taken out by a possum, just lie, please.
Oh, absolutely.
Just say something.
I'm gonna say
Anything else.
A karaoke accident.
Anything else, please.
It's always gonna be a karaoke accident.
Something.
If you're going out. That's
Totally. Anything, literally anything else. Okay.
So the topic of today is one I'm personally very excited for. It's going to be dating.
Woo!
And we have two lovely guests here to give their contribution on what it is like to be a gay black man dating. We did want to get one of our friends, Kelly, in, but she's in Sydney. Jealous, but also good for you. Ideally, we'll have her back to give her own input on this as a black woman dating here. And Nicole has already been spoken for, but so she can still give plenty of input on dating and being engaged to an Australian man, but not necessarily the gravity, the scope of being here and doing so.
The scope.
But one of the things that I would want to talk to first on this topic is growing up black and gay in Texas, I had some mindset of what I looked like or what my level of attractiveness because of terrible people, whether they be racist, homophobic, or a bit of both. So when I got here, I didn't really know what I was like. In America, my dating life was,
He used no words, and we were like,
I love all the non-verbals.
real.
I get, like,
Real.
you don't have to put any words to it because you get it. So it's like there are people who either appreciate black culture, I'm doing air quotes if you couldn't hear it in my voice, or they're looking for the BBC, realistically. And I think that's just painfully problematic, one, because even if you do have a large member and you're only seen for that one thing, you're not a person, you are an appendage. And if you don't, then they have this expectation, and then you're in this position where it's like, well, I have an average penis, now what? Now you're in this horrible situation where they're like, I've never been with a black guy before. I'm like, thank you for that. Thank you for offering up this information that I did not seek. So growing up in that space, I kind of came into my own as a queer person when I was in my early 20s. So I got my teenage years around those times, and I was dating. I had maybe 2-3 boyfriends before I left the country, and I left when I was 26. So from coming out at 16 to leaving at 26, I had 2 kind of serious boyfriends total. So when I got here, I didn't really know what to expect. But personally, I felt like a black king in a sense because I was getting so much more attention than I ever got in America. And people were like, oh my God, you're so foreign and like so. Honestly,
You mean exotic?
Exotic.
Exotic.
not the monkey. She said King Kong and got shit on. We're going to have so much trouble just getting people hearing us between the laughters. But I think that was my first experience when I got here, dating-wise. I got so much more attention than I was ever used to. Do either of you agree with that or have had different experiences?
Okay, I guess I'll go first.
Do you want to go?
Okay.
Yeah, go.
Take your time.
Well, okay, so dating and fucking are 2 different things.
Okay.
Speak on it.
Correct.
There's no kids allowed.
Correct.
We have an explicit warning on all of our episodes.
We do.
Okay. Okay. I was in multiple relationships in my time during Sydney. Some of them were physical, and each party knew what we were getting. Others were actually maybe a little bit more dating. There were some long-term relationships, some great friendships that were had. And then, the afternoon, we both knew what this was.
I know that's right.
My house is empty. I'll see you in 15. My experiences, though, dating, they're all different. I try and think that I want to date for love and for the experience of the person and all of those things. But then sometimes I am my mother's son. There's a certain power that you hold being a black man living abroad and dating and the places that you put yourself. And no matter where you are, actually, regardless, it's really being outside of America that people look at us differently, but it's all in how we carry ourselves to a standard, and they think that is so it's a breath of fresh air. And I'm like, this isn't a breath of fresh air. This is what my mama taught me to do. She would slap me silly if she... Are you kidding me?
Walk around with your head up always.
Yeah,
Right.
it's real regular, but it's just the way things are done here is a very casual.
Yeah.
I don't want to say basic. That feels.
I'm gonna leave it in. I'm sorry.
No, because it's kind of basic.
But it's
because
like, yeah.
I would...
It's kind of basic.
No, okay. Because the thing about growing up, my mom told me, when you walk outside of this house, you not only represent me, you represent your family. You brush your teeth, you wash your face, you moisturize, and you iron your school clothes. These are These are basic.
Basic necessary care.
Because then that's also another aspect of dating white men in a foreign country.
Oh, yes.
And just, yes, we're all pretty, but like, I mean, like, our group of friends
Oh,
are all
obviously.
Duh. Period. That's the
Like,
soundbite we need.
I don't know that we know any ugly people. It just doesn't exist. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think ugly people are afraid of us. They just don't try to associate with us. Like, are we the mean girls?
Are we unfriendly black hotties?
I mean, so from a distance, it may, if we're not laughing at something and we're sitting having this conversation, it was like, that I do probably look like an unfriendly black guy, but resting bitch face, yeah. So, Rock, did you have any dating stories you also want to contribute, like,
I guess
here?
just kind of in general, what
What
dating
it's
is
been
like
like.
in Australia.
What dating's been like for you in Australia?
I would say that I feel a lot of the stereotypes that we kind of deal with in America, they still persist here, and sometimes that can be a little bit frustrating. But I think in Australia, it comes from a different place of not really understanding. So, for example, you might be talking to a guy and he's trying to compliment you genuinely, but he's like, you look like a delicious chocolate black banana. I'm just like, and it's like,
What,
you know,
delicious?
it's coming from a good place, but it is like, oh no, where's the block button?
I know you meant well. I know you meant well.
Do you taste like Milo? Listeners, Milo is a Nesquik type of powdery drink that they drink here. And I'm so sure that it's used to describe flavors as well as people.
Yeah, I mean, I've thankfully never been called Milo because I'm pretty sure they would have got the backhand. Like, I don't condone violence, but if you call me a dusty chocolate drink, we're gonna fight. I don't know what else to tell you.
But yeah, I can understand that. They're trying to be nice, but some of the times it's
just like, no. Yeah.
It's like reading a room. I think there's that certain level. I feel like Nicole has mentioned this before. There's a certain level of tact that some Australians don't necessarily have. They say what they think, and they don't see the problematic part of it. They're like, oh, what do you mean? I just thought that was a cool thing to say. It's like, oh my God, your hair is so nappy or something. I'm like, oh, I wish
Like a
you
sponge.
had this.
yeah. What
It's like, you're so eloquent. And I'm like, oh, don't you do it.
Yeah, it's like, we know where this is. Yeah, we know where this is going.
Yeah, we know exactly where this is going. I'm just like, ooh, you could have just sat there and ate your food, honestly. I think for me, I categorize my dating in two periods, the before engagement and the after engagement. When I first got here, I was a backpacker as well, and I was dating for fun because I'm like, I'm going to be here for a short amount of time. I don't really care if this transpires anything. Like Drew was saying, dating and fucking are two different things.
Yeah.
We're just enjoying each other's company. I'm here on holiday. I'm not thinking about the future. I'm in the now. And then I met my ex, and while I have no bad things to say about my ex because it did happen, and I'm very grateful for said experience. But I think coming from my background where I said I was bullied for being black and gay and I thought I was ugly for the longest time, receiving any amount of attention just felt good. And anytime someone gave me attention, I always poured everything into them. And so when I met my ex, and he was also trying to pour everything back into me, caught up in the whirlwind, fully just wrap it up, kids, we're done, we're out the door, like, let's do it. And that very much was, I don't even know if we knew each other that well when we fell in love, when we got engaged and did all of these things, but because I had never felt anything else like that, I was like, yes, this is absolutely where I want to be. And when that fell apart, during that relationship, I was like, this is what I know I love, this is what I know I don't like, I can deal with this, I cannot, and it helped me feel as who I wanted to be with and who I wanted to be as a person. So when that ended, the Australian men started to look a little, for lack of a better word, dusty. And I really hope no one stops listening right away, because I would like to explain myself before I get crucified and never get to date an Australian man again. I think before lockdowns, because we had a shit ton of lockdowns here, people were already very hesitant to be in a relationship. They were like, oh, they'll be dating someone for 6 months, a year. They'll go to the family Christmas. They'll be at so-and-so's christening and be like, yeah, we're just talking. This is casual. They moved in together. We're not in a relationship. I'm keeping my options open. They get married. I'm like, we're just getting kind of serious. It's like, there are so many Australian guys who might even love bomb you, but they don't actually want that commitment as a whole. They're happy to just vibe. And when you're happy to vibe as well, that's great. But again, post-engagement, I'm not really trying to vibe. I got my crew. I'm happy to make genuine friends. But if I meet you and I say, let's go on a date, I'm dating with the potential of being with that person at the end of it. And lately, I've not dated that many Australian men. Like, there are other expats who are also dating that way. I think in America, a lot more queer men are more willing to date to see what happens. If they're in a relationship, cool. But it is a new concept for us because in so many countries it's still illegal. Here it was legalized in 2017, in America 2015. So in our minds, we didn't grow up thinking we're going to get married. So I do understand where that comes from. So being in a place that I am a hopeful romantic, and I will absolutely go on as many dates as needs to find that person. Not everyone has the same mindset, and I think that has been the biggest issue for me personally.
For sure. I think it's maybe also a sign of the times of how the dating landscape has just shifted to this more. I mean, dating has always been about looks. Like, you know what I mean? Not that it's all about that, but that's the first determining factor a lot of the times. And now that we're able to look at our phones, see a picture of a hot person, and you can be like, I'm just gonna order some dick from this one. And just like, and you're just able to kind of have this transactional kind of thing, and you're both on this app, you both know what time it is, you're both able to have this interaction.
Are you gonna say Grindr, or are you worried they're gonna
listen, they better pay us for the sponsorship. But it could be Grindr, it could be Tinder, it could be all these other dating apps. I'm sure there's more out there. But that's just the way. Even outside of the dating apps, even on Instagram, you see somebody cute, you follow their page, you slide into their DMs. It can be a transactional kind of thing of you guys just know that it's like DTF, you know? And you don't necessarily have to do the getting to know you kind of thing if you don't want to anymore. Yeah. It's not necessarily a requirement anymore. And I feel that's really changed a lot of things. Because now people are like, yeah, why would I get bogged down when I can just go after the next hot thing over and over.
It gets old and repetitive real quick and easy.
Totally. And it's hard out here in these streets. So...
And like you were saying, it gets old. It doesn't get old for everyone. I got tired. I don't really want it anymore. And you're saying it gets old. But I have met people who have been like, oh, yeah, I'm not really looking for anything at any point. And sometimes they won't even say that. You will think you're on the same page. And then you get to a certain point. It's like,
gotta
really.
Go by.
Yeah, maybe I do, maybe I don't. I got an ick from an Instagram post. Now I'm out. I don't know. But Rock, did you want to say something? Or were you just like...
No, I was just co-signing and agreeing with a lot of that stuff that you guys said. I think Nicole mentioned it's not just like an Australia thing, but just a global thing where now it's so easy to get onto these apps and you can get what you need right now without compromising on what you want, right? So when you're in a relationship, there's a lot of compromising that's involved with that. Whereas with this sort of like so-and-so kind of like maybe we're in a relationship, maybe not thing, like situationships, right? If you go off and do your own thing, who cares if this other person gets mad at me about it, because we're not really together, right? So I think that's just kind of a general thing that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like kind of where but then again, maybe it's like, has it always necessarily been like that, but this is just a different form of it? You know what I mean? You could just go and be like, oh, this isn't a serious thing. You have your little girlfriend, you have your little boyfriend, and then it just takes more effort or a longer time to find somebody you're more compatible with. So maybe it's the same and maybe just the medium is different.
It is.
One of the things I was actually thinking about when you were telling that story, Rock, I just thought about something funny. I think it was the last episode that hasn't aired yet. We talked about how in the queer black community, because we basically know each other now, I joked about us knowing each other and saying there was a group chat, but kind of. There kind of is. So at a certain point, if you follow someone on Instagram, it's like, oh, Rock follows this person. I'll slide him DMs like, Rock, who is this? What's going on here? And it'll be like, oh...
Yeah, we have had this happen.
You remember that blue hair guy?
I know. Somebody needs to spill the tea. I need to hear the story about the blue man.
So,
and who blew the man?
Did I match with him first?
Oh, I can't remember. I think you must have matched with him first.
Oh, yeah. I matched with him first, and you actually caught up with him.
Yes, like IRL, yeah.
So the way this man was speaking, he very much had this power dynamic in his head about what he was going to do and what was acceptable for things. And he was very much in the mindset that if anyone bottomed, they were inferior, they were a lesser person. He would never bottom because it was not manly to do. And I'm like, your G-spot is in your ass.
What?
Like, I'm just...
What? Okay, what? You bottom shaming?
Yeah.
Bottom shaming?
And he got like, and I had the time today, so we were arguing about it. Like,
God. What are you even doing? That's like I guess that's internalized homophobia.
It had to have been, because again, he was so cute until he opened his mouth, and he was happy to argue with all of it, and he just kept going. What was your experience with old blue hair devil?
I mean, so I think we caught up after I had met up with him, so I didn't have that information going into my in-person meetup with this guy. but the red flags were being raised throughout this entire initial interaction. And I think I tend to make a preliminary decision on whether there's going to be a second date or not. And I had already told myself this is not going past this first date. So now I'm running through my head, okay, what are my options to expedite this date that we're on at the moment so that I can go the fuck home?
Oh my God. For real.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what it was like. So I kept it chill, and I think I tried to just kind of avoid certain conversations that I knew I would not gel with until it was over. Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. I'm still just trying to understand, what does he think is going to happen? Because he was a top, and then he's going to bottom shame you. Like, then how do you expect this to work? You're going to push them against each other like a Chinese finger trap? No. Like, what else is going to happen?
So, that's called docking.
Some of us can't do that, Drew.
Like, what is,
There's
like,
a kink for that.
No, so with this particular person, he was like, "Oh, I'm going to do this to you," and like, again, I am very sex positive. We can talk about it, but I'm not just going to do one thing. You're not going to tell me that I'm going to
tell me what I'm going to do
for you. And it's like, well, I'm happy to do these things, but we got to go back and forth. It's a give and take. And he's like, "No, I don't do that." And I'm like, "What do you mean? What do you mean you don't do that?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't do that." And I'm like, well, we don't have very much to talk about.
Yeah, I changed the subject real quick after that.
I guess we're done. And then he wanted to argue about it. I was like, oh yeah, I just don't agree with it. I'm like, I didn't ask you any of these things. I didn't ask you any of this. And then he started and I had the time, so we were just arguing on Hinge. And then he was just going back. He's like, oh, are you going to unmatch me? And I'm like, no, I'm going to win this. I have the time today. So we went at it for maybe a good hour or two. And I'm like, okay, I put my phone down. I need to walk away.
This just sounds like a troll on Twitter or something like that. Just come to life. Well, fuck you, blue hair. I don't know who you are, but please don't ever let me see. I'm gonna punch everybody.
Everybody with blue hair looks suspicious.
I think he's changed it since. But
yeah, it has. I was like, everybody with blue hair better watch out. Papa Smurf. Oh, never mind. He ain't got blue hair. Never mind. I'll walk it back.
I'll add one little tidbit, which I don't know if maybe you guys were gonna get to later. But this is just another additional part of the story about Mr. Blue Hair. So we're still friends on we still follow each other on Instagram. And recently, it was a different African American's birthday not too long ago. So he proceeded.
I'm using my context clues. I'm using my clues.
It was on the list.
Okay.
Go right into it, Rock. Go right into it, Rock.
Different African American birthday.
So it was somebody else's birthday. This man randomly sends me a message where he shares a photo of this person, like they had posted a photo on their birthday, and was like, "Happy birthday." And I was like,
oh, okay. So I'm trying to be quiet.
Wait. So did he share someone else's profile, or did he download
Wait,
that
that's
picture?
a story.
I'm so sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Please continue, Rock.
so this is somebody else's profile. Because, you can do that share feature, right? He did that from somebody else's profile, sent it to me, and said, "Happy birthday."
There's no way that was an accident.
And I was like,
You can't. That's not an accident.
How is that a mistake? It's literally on the other person's profile.
You have to leave this person's profile. Come find me.
To say
somebody else.
What?
I really don't even remember what my response was.
I was just going to ask what your response
I
was.
genuinely don't remember what I said. But I think I said something kind of shady to imply, obviously, that it wasn't me. And then he tried to play it off. And I was like, okay, I'm done here. So I left him on scene, which is standard
left
for
him
me.
on red. It's giving negging or something like that. Doing intentionally, like, negative shit to kind of be like, I wonder what their reaction's gonna be. Because how are you gonna be, what kind of, did the dye soak into his brain?
It must have.
Because how?
I just have one question. Is his hair currently still blue?
I think it's not blue anymore.
I don't have.
I think he's
so you're the
changed
expert
it.
over here.
Yeah.
Because it would just be.
Oh my gosh.
not rock checking. Please hold while I confirm.
Listeners, go see his page at. Send all your questions and queries to.
Going back to the group chat thing, it is a conversation that we do have to have. I've found myself more often than not, if someone is a little bit too interested in me, I need to ask what ethnicity their exes were. And if there's not at least a little bit of a mixture of something else other than brown and down, I'm worried. I'm gonna have to ask some extra questions, because there's that extra thing where it's like people are like, oh, I just really like black people. And I'm like, yeah, but there's not that many of us here. So the fact that you've tried to date and or have sex with all of my friends, I'm noticing the pattern. Like, if he quacks like a duck.
But, so, like, yes, you're saying in the context if you're trying to have sex with all of my friends. But so my experience moving here to Melbourne was I was in an open relationship, and it was just seeing what was out there. Just
The buffet.
yeah,
Take a little bite here, a little scoop here.
I was new to the neighborhood, and it was just like I just wanted to see the local flavor and the So I'm doing that, and I actually run across your ex.
Wait, Drew, do you mean my ex that has only dated black people and said it was not a preference? It just happened that way? That ex?
Do you mean the fiance?
Yes.
Yeah. That ex.
One and the same. Okay, continue your story.
No. So, being the fact that we all lived in the same neighborhood, literally the same neighborhood, 5 blocks, no more than 5 blocks?
Yeah, no more than 5 blocks.
Like that's, anyway. So I'm just like, really? That's, and I had seen him out before, and I had seen him out with you, actually, that one time we met at that bar.
Oh, yes.
Right. And I'm just like, huh. And you're really gonna try what I think you're trying, even though that you saw me out with. But he did.
He did.
And I just like, that was bold.
Yeah.
But like, wow.
Wow, that's, man, I don't, like, I mean, when you're friends, you know these two people are friends.
Yeah.
It's just, it's giving.
But then it goes to that whole thing of dating here in Australia. Unfortunately, some men of European descent.
Yep. Listening.
Wake it up.
They do have, sometimes they say a preference, but there is a difference between a preference, and it's not the word of preference, it's...
Is it fetishizing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It goes
gotcha.
from having a preference to fetishization, and the moment they say, oh, I've got black friends, or it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
yeah, and when they're offering up information that has nothing to do with the topic at hand, but them telling me, for me to understand that this is their normal and this is not the first time that they've dabbled in someone of color. I'm just like, and that lets me know everything I need to know without even saying anything. It's like, oh, okay.
I know why I'm here. Thank you. I'm just another one. Thank you.
Right. So let me go out to the network real quick. Hopefully.
Let me triple check, yeah.
And because I've been here for 6 years, and I've worked at a gay bar, and I've just been out in the scenes. Like, I know enough about people, so even if I don't know the person, I can be like, I know people who know them. Please hold. And we're going to get that information, because there's only so few of us here. I just think that if we don't look out for each other, no one else will. And I think that kind of goes into my next question of, like, well, not really a question, but more of a statement. Like, in a perfect fantasy world, I dream of black love like nobody's business. But here I found that anytime that I match with a black man on an app or get to talking, there might be a connection there for a little bit, but it's just like, am I willing to risk this and lose a black friend in this very white place? And like Mike, I met Mike on Tinder, but we met up and I'm like, that's my best friend. You just feel it in your soul. I'm like, but that could have also been a partner. But it's a weird line. I don't know if either of you have felt this before. It was just like, oh, maybe I could, but then there's a lot of guys I've gone on dates that we just don't talk anymore. But you don't really have that luxury to lose black people. Like, you have to be doing a lot of things. So that community is so important, at least for me, that I don't really want to lose it. But it's also like, how do you walk that line?
So, yes, I think it's kind of a difficult question for me to answer personally because childhood trauma, trigger warning. I've only actually dated one black guy, actually. And I grew up in an accepting household, but I never saw two black men together. So then growing up in the 90s in the suburb of Chicago, it's like the closest I've ever seen was a straight interracial relationship. Even though that had its problems culturally in black and white, it was the closest thing that I've had seen to outside of black love, but like an interracial couple. And then I guess that plight of that interracial couple kind of, I took that on as the plight of the queer love spectrum. And being queer and being in America, it's hard growing up and not having role models. It's hard, but now we have a different space and a different time, which is wonderful, but I still fear for the black youth of America and them just having to deal with America.
Deal with America, for real.
Sorry, completely off topic.
I think this all still related to dating, and that's a thing that I thought about as well. Moonlight was one of the first things where we got to see black love in any capacity. Like, they won the Oscar. Like, I still hate that they got the whole announcement went the way it did, but that was one of the first times I saw gay black love. Like, it was the La La Land thing, and I'm still upset about it. You can't read a card, but we won't go into it.
I kind of loved how they had to come over there and
like,
snatch.
guys,
I kind of loved how they got to snatch. They got to snatch the statue of La La Land. I understand the moment, the excitement, and everything, but we were all gagged. But at least it went to the right film because Moonlight was just, oh my God, it was so beautiful and just vulnerable and tender and just so filled with so many different types of love. But it was especially important to see that romantic love for sure.
And that was only 2016, so until 7 years ago, we didn't have another thing that we see. White guys got Brokeback Mountain in 2005. They had a bunch of little queer things sprinkled out so they could see what white love looked like with itself. The best thing we can kind of get is a lot of interracial things.
Yeah, even before that, sorry. There was even something before
Brokeback. You're talking Birdcage? How far
Rent?
back? Like, there's been a lot of white gay movies, but there's not.
Or even sitcoms for that matter.
Oh,
I
Will and
thought
Grace.
my gay growing up was white sitcom. The American one. Like, that was that was the closest thing I had for queer TV.
Yeah, I hate Will and Grace. I watched Will and Grace with the volume really low. It's like, sorry, Mom. I was watching Will and Grace.
Yeah, it's crazy to think we still haven't even gotten something like that on our side.
Oh, well, we had Noah's Ark.
Oh, okay.
We had Noah's Ark, and I ate that shit up. Like,
So good.
It was so camp. Watching it back, it was terrible. But
The cinematography of it.
being honest, it was terrible, but we needed it. It was all we had. Like, if there were more seasons, if more shows like that had happened, there's been a few more things that kind of didn't really get to the height of Noah's Ark, but we had that in, what was that? It was
late.
That was when I was in college. So that would have been late 2000s.
So we had
Late 2000s, early 2010s.
Was it on Logo?
It was on Logo.
Logo.
Back when Logo still
Gotcha.
did TV shows. Did Logo die? I think that died.
She
No, I
died?
think Logo died. That's why RuPaul left Logo, because now it's on VH1 and all that. Because like it's all owned by Viacom. But I think Logo as a channel died. All the queer programs, I thought was great. I loved when that was out.
Loved
A few years
Logo.
of that, wonderful.
But what about you, Rock? How do you feel about the risk reward of like pursuing a black partner here, or just being like, you know what, this is somebody I should just maintain a friendship with?
Yeah. I'm very strict with myself when it comes to that sort of stuff. So if you are my friend, you are my friend. And that is how I see you. And yeah, so I'm very much so about the whole friend zone thing. And I think we have a really good community here in Melbourne. We've all ended up somehow getting to know each other, and we go out together all the time. So that's always kind of in the back of my head as well. So if I meet someone who's black, then what I'm thinking in my head is, could this potentially ruin the friend group that I have, because you don't want something like that to happen, I think. So I tend to kind of err on the side of caution, and more often than not, if I see someone who's Black, it's not necessarily that I'm not interested, but what I'm thinking is, if they end up joining our friend group, I don't want any sort of issues if I were to pursue a relationship to end up ruining my chances at hanging out with this group.
Totally.
So, yeah, I usually limit it.
I totally understand. Like, it's a protection thing. If you want to protect what it is that we've been able to build here.
Yeah.
For sure. I also feel like, yeah, there's not a lot of us here. There's not a lot of us here. Yes, there could be somebody else of the same race as you that's a possibility, but whether that's the right match or not, that's a whole different kind of thing. It's like when girls who've been like, I have a gay friend. Are you gay? I have a gay friend. I think you guys should hook up. And it's like, girl, there's like a whole different level of criteria that has to be gone through, because just because these two people are both gay, just because these two people are both Black, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a match.
Yeah.
No gay math.
Yeah, it's like it's the only kind of math I can do. But I understand that. I understand erring on the side of caution and protection of what it is that we've created here. Because don't make it awkward around me, because I'm gonna be ruined. I'm gonna ruin it because I have.
So it's like, what's happening here?
Yeah, what's going on? I sense some tension. Is everything okay?
There's like Big Bird kicking the door and like, what are y'all doing?
I will enter the room like Kool-Aid Man. Oh yeah.
Actually, I do remember.
Not Kool-Aid triggering something, but okay.
It was before that, but I was trying to hold on to it. Basically, put two pieces of what you were saying. That interracial is basically what you saw, and that was kind of the state. There is a certain percentage of our ability to end up with people who look like us. Anyone who comments, "Oh yeah, you only date X, you only date Y," that is incredibly problematic. And that's one of the things, even here in America, both places are really bad about it. They're like, oh, you do love your white guys, you love your Asian guys, you love your whatever guys. But it's just like, I am going after who has been pursuing me and vice versa.
Period.
And whether I do or don't end up with a Black man, that is not your business. The only thing that this is you're setting an example of like, oh, I'm judging you for your choices. And realistically, what you eat don't make me shit, who you fuck don't make me come. So if you don't mind your own business, I'm going to have to mind it for you, kind of thing. But again, I would love Black love. If I end up with an Italian man, wonderful. If I end up with this Brazilian guy, great. Whoever I end up with is not necessarily indicative of what I like, or if I, oh yeah, you don't like Black men, because I've been told that by other Black people, actually. And that could not be further from the truth, but feeling the need to explain myself is just exhausting.
Very much that, yeah. I think this was something that came up on Twitter a little while ago, where somebody was calling out the fact that all the Black drag queens have white partners, and people were getting on Bob the drag queen, and people were getting on, he's not a drag queen, but Billy Porter, who used to be married to a white person, but I think they're now going through a divorce. People are like, well, why do they only have white partners and da-da-da? And it's just like, we don't know these people. And if they haven't come out and said something disparaging against Black, because there are people who are like that. There are Black people who are like, well, I'll never date a Black person, and da-da-da-da. And that's a whole different kettle of fish. But people are going to love who love them. People are going to pursue the people who pursue them. And that feels like a pretty good place to end our part one. Do we want to take a break?
Oh yeah, we can do a little bathroom break. Everyone
Great.
gets to take a little break, stretchies and all that jazz.
Alrighty, we'll be right back. This has been Melanated in Melbourne, a podcast that analyzes the Australian lifestyle from the lens of two Black American besties. Follow us at Melanated in Melbourne on Instagram and TikTok. If you have any comments or questions you'd like to ask us, then email us at melanatedinmelbourne@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.